Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today, can you believe it, people? We are following a Vox Machina podcast with another Vox Machina podcast. The curse has been broken. Unless
What?
another thing
Oh,
happens and Wolf tells me, no, wait, we actually didn't record anything after we're done. But
then you'll never
hopefully
hear
that's
this
not gonna
part.
happen. But let's just say things happen behind the scenes sometimes. Anyway, Vox Machina season 3. This is the most recent season, and it's
Mhm.
not even a year old, if I'm recalling correctly.
No, it came out in October of last year, so getting
Mhm.
close, but not
So
quite.
yeah, we are somewhat caught up because I think if you listen to this, you probably know that there's a season 4 coming, and now I can say I'm part of the hype. I'm excited for it.
I
But so,
wanna say season four's coming out later this year, but don't quote me on that. It might be next.
all I see right now is that it's confirmed, it's renewed, but I don't see a release date.
I know their other show, I believe it's Mighty Nine. I think that's coming out this year. It might be that one that I'm thinking of. I'm pretty sure. I could
Mhm.
be wrong. That might also just be confirmed, and that's it.
Well, either way, we are here to talk about season 3. So, to just catch you up, I personally enjoyed season 1, but that it had a few loose things that could have been better. Season 2, I thought was really good. Wolf, your take?
Yeah, season one, some things I didn't like about it, but overall, like a good start. Season two, way better, and now we're in season three. And I'll say I personally still like season two more than season three, but season three is still very strong and continues forward on good footing.
It's weird for me because on the one hand, I there are a lot of moments where I'm saying season 3 is the best one. Season 3 is like it has an amazing animation, amazing fight scenes. The character dynamics are as strong as ever, if not
Mm-hmm.
better. All
Right.
the character development is wonderful. There's a lot, but there are bits here and there when I'm like, I think season 2 was overall better in terms of the overarching story of the season.
Mm.
Like season 3 has has better moments, but season 2 had a better overall narrative.
Fair enough.
So this is just and for the record, me saying this is not to take away from season 3 at all. Season 3 is simply amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they're doing with this show. Do not take me saying, "Oh, season 2 had a better overarching play." It's really it's really minuscule. It's a really minuscule difference. So it's not to say that season 3 is bad. On the contrary, I absolutely love this season. And I think that's all I can really say without going into spoilers.
Fair enough.
So I think the best way to say is obviously watch it. It's a great season. If you like the first 2 seasons, you're definitely going to enjoy this one. What else is there to add, really?
Yeah. Go watch it.
Hmm.
Podcast
I
done.
get
Episode
yeah.
over.
No, we
Four
need to talk
minutes in.
spoilers. No spoilers. We need to talk spoilers. It's part of the thing. But I will say though, again, I'm not sure if you're coming back to this or not, but I haven't seen the Critical Role campaigns.
Hmm.
Like the actual D&D that this show is based on. So I'm seeing this as a show. I know of a few things that happen in the Critical Play thing because of behind the scenes and stuff, but otherwise haven't seen that. I know you've seen some of it.
I've seen more than you, but not like every single episode like some people have, right?
Mhm. All right. So with that said, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Still here? Okay. So before anything, I just want to point out, I think it's in episode 2. There's the scene where like Scanlan is looking for his daughter, and there's this random guy that offers him spice.
Uh huh.
For one, I love awkward humor is kind of my humor. You can show me the most awkward stuff, and even if it's not really funny, I'll laugh at it because random humor has a place with me sometimes.
Fair enough.
But also, this is obviously the spicy selling. This is obviously supposed to be drugs.
Yes.
This is totally a drugs thing, and I'm like, I am seeing you people who weren't really in Sly Cooper, but I see that you've taken notes from Sly 2. I appreciate that reference, intentional or not.
Well,
I I just this is just really funny to me, and I wanted
no,
to point it out because it's like
it's
it's this moment where I'm like, huh, using spice as a metaphor for drugs. I've seen this before in this video game that I really love.
it's even funnier because it's not meant to be drugs. It actually is
I don't know.
just spice. So it's
Um,
funny from the like the D&D live show that they do. There was like
mhm.
a whole joke of Scanlan trying to find and get spice for this guy, and
Ah,
the whole bit was like he's like, "Hey, do you spice? Do you spice?" And they play it
mhm.
up as this drug thing, and then come to find out, no, it was never drug. It was literally just spice that this guy wanted.
Oh,
It was
then
just
I
funny.
guess they got me too because holy hell, this was totally
Well, the
this.
show doesn't give you the full setup, but still, it's also.
Mhm.
But you're right, it is quite funny.
Yeah, and also I just love the people like spice. Do you spice? Spice. So
It's very much
I
a meme.
just wanted to point that out because it was so random to me. But and also yeah, random unintentional reference to to a game that I really like. So there was that.
Fair
Anywho,
enough.
so so now with the actual plot. Now, so Vox Machina destroyed one of the dragons last time,
Yeah.
and the main character, uh, Rush, uh, how do you say his name? I have it here. I forgot how you
Do you
pronounce
mean
it.
Raishan?
Raishan, yes, Raishan. There you go.
Mm.
It was on my tongue. I couldn't say it, but
Alright.
okay. So Raishan now is what seems to know that yeah, these guys. I think. I think I need to take them seriously a bit more.
Yeah, so they're working
And
with Raishan now, one of the evil dragons they want to kill.
mhm.
And Keyleth is
and
not
that
happy.
mhm. Yeah, Keelat is very unhappy, and as someone who I said before, again, Keelat is my probably my favorite character in the show. I was a bit worried that they just her first real scene in this season is her being absolute. I don't want to say out of character, but not her usual quirky self. And they make it work. They make it work because you can see that on the one hand, the reason she's so angry is very legitimate, and anyone would be mad at this kind of at this scenario. But also that these bits of anger, they don't define her for the rest of the season. It's just whenever Rashan is involved, this is the point where she starts where she loses it. This is the
Hmm.
point. These are the only points where she gets angry, and I think it was a good character development for her. They did the transitions well in terms of showing why she's angry here, where that side of her comes from. That it didn't feel out of character. It felt really natural, and that's a very hard thing to do in a show like this.
You also you have the previous context, right, of why it matters to her so much. Raishan released Thordak, and Thordak killed a bunch of her people, the Fire Ashari, right?
Yes.
So like you have all that context of like you understand, all right, she's mad about this and she's still upset about this and she has not gotten over it. Whether you agree with her or not doesn't matter. Like you can understand it, and that's super important.
And speaking of agreeing, the other thing I like is that while this is a strong team and everything, this is the first time where there are some fractures in the team regarding a course of action.
Which is nice to see, right? Because like
Yeah.
it we've had them all together working together, and we've seen like there's these little bits and pieces here or there, right, where things aren't quite gelling well, but they've still kept everything together. Now you're finally starting to see like, oh no, there actually is like maybe some problems with the team as a whole that they have issues with, right? And they're not fully together on everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which again is interesting because again previously we would probably see them disagree a bit or fighting a bit, but it was usually just a bit of banter and then you'd move on. Here they actually started disagreeing about courses of action and uh, and discussing what each member's part in the group is and if the there are layers to these characters. I think that's the thing I want to say,
Yeah.
and I also enjoy that. Again, you see this not just with Caleb, but Pike gets a bit of it, and Scanlan too, and just in general, the team dynamic feels really strong in this one because you see those moments where they just and don't really know what's the right course of action.
Hmm. But uh, yeah, no, I fully agree.
Mhm. So, anything you want to say on the matter?
I mean, no, I think you pretty well covered like the team
Oh,
dynamic this season, and we have our split and we have our comeback together at the very end. It's quite good, and I think it leads well into season 4, hopefully.
hmm. Well, the one thing I will say, I was kind of jokingly referring to this at the start as the shipping season, because this is the season basically starts us out with, yeah, we are trying to push the Vex and Kayla chip, which you know what I'm okay with. I think they work well together.
Hmm.
But then they also introduced something that I enjoyed with Vex, and that he has these visions of the future regarding his corruption and everything, that he starts shunning Kaylet and the rest of the team away. And I think it's interesting for him because he was always like Vax was always up to this point like the leader. Not that he was bland or anything, but he was kind of the leader, the cocky leader that always goes headfirst into stuff and tries to push forward for the team and everything. This gave him something different. I enjoy that. It's essentially this show's version of an anxiety to some degree.
Hmm. Fair enough.
So I enjoy that.
No, fair enough.
Um, the Do you have anything that you want to talk about? I don't want to hug this.
No,
You
I'm
pick a
letting
song.
you. I'm letting you run with it right now. I don't have too much to say right now. I'm letting you run. Go.
No, but I'm running too
I'll
much. Talk.
I'll
You are the one who
interject.
recommended this show for
Don't
this.
hand
For
me the
this.
baton. Keep going. This ain't a
Oh,
marathon. I'm not switching places
okay. One other
or
thing I
relaying.
will say, I think this is probably the most unique beach episode I've seen because they are not even on a beach. They are just in Scanlan's like hut.
Oh, you moved.
Uh,
Okay, we're flipping around. I see. No, that one's
yeah.
great.
I I really enjoyed that because this was obviously the beach episode that a lot of shows had, but it's great. It's so like it's the last thing you would expect, but and even then they managed to throw in some deep stuff in there.
Mhm. They do. Again, like it's very much it feels like a bit like a side episode, but it's still very important as to what it does for each and every character, right? And you get a lot from all of them in different ways. And you get to see them
Hmm.
grow a little bit more, which is great. Like it's very
Yeah.
good. It's a very good use of time while still being a little bit more of a funny side episode almost.
Hmm. The other thing, in terms of comedy, there's actually a part that really made me laugh earlier in the season where they tell Percy, listen, Vex is giving you all the hints. You should go to her room. and they do business in that room. Wink, wink.
Mm-hmm.
And just so happens that the next morning, Percy is leaving the room, and Vex is also leaving the room. And like that awkward moment when you realized that your teammate fucked your sister. And they play into this awkwardness so damn well.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I this was a again this is a and in the Skellen's house episode, I actually thought they had a really good conversation about, yeah, listen, I always saw how that there was a thing between you two, so I don't stop yourself because of me. Go for it.
Fair enough.
And and again, again the character, the interactions are just really great. Near the end, there's a point that got me to laugh. That Grog pretends that he was taken over by someone, and then he goes, "Nah, I thought Pike." And Pike clearly is literally like she's scared for a bit, but then when she realizes that it was just an act, she
Mm-hmm.
goes along with it. She's having a big laugh about it. And Pike in general is wholesome. It's great to see Ashley Johnson doing most stuff, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want. By the way, I had no idea there's another like dwarf character that I forgot her name. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh my god, there's so many cast members, and of course she's not gonna be here. There's the dwarf character who
Oh,
dates the blonde lady. What's
oh,
her
do you mean,
name?
I think it's either
Lady
Kima or
Kima.
Kima.
Kima. Kima of Ward. Yeah, that's it. I
Yeah, I
didn't
was getting
figure
ready to
this
ask, what
out.
did you think about Kima and Allura?
They were great, but it's also part of the idea that I didn't catch this last time, but Kima is voiced by Stephanie Beatrice, and
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie Beatrice is awesome. In case you don't know, now
Mm-hmm.
you know. And and it's it still makes me laugh that apparently whenever she's doing voice walker now, be it in Has Been All Tell All This, that it's the Rosa voice from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's the only way you're gonna. I heard that she's in this show, and I'm trying to look for a regular voice. Oh no, wait, she's doing the Rosa voice. That's awesome. So it's great to see her in this show
No,
because she's an awesome actress.
going back a bit, speaking to that, right? I don't know. Did you enjoy the Kima and Allura bit as they're trying to survive, as Kima's trying to survive against Vorgal, the dragon, the white
Yeah.
dragon, and they when they're
Mhm.
fighting and killing him and everything? It's great. I love that.
Yeah, that's great.
And you get
And
to see a bit more of the
again,
backstory and those two's relationship as well, which I thought was a good like
mhm,
little bit of change of
yeah,
pace.
I love the relationship. And again, it also helps when I happen to just be a big fan of one of the actors
Mhm.
besides that. So there's that.
And I think it also gives a nice like change of pace from like two different people that are a little bit different from the party and everything, right? But it doesn't take
Mhm.
away. It feels like to me.
No, that's the thing. It doesn't take away. It should, right? You should
Mm.
feel like it takes away from something, but it doesn't.
I do think it helps, right? That we're getting Kima and Alora's story alongside while we're learning more about Pike, right? Because at this time, Pike's with Keyleth, Vax, and Grog, and Scanlan, basically in hell, essentially, gambling for their lives for this one of the vestiges, this plate, this armor, right?
Hmm.
And like I love what it seems like they might be doing with Pike here, and that like Pike has some more connections going on than what we originally thought, and she has some stuff that's going on, and I love how this devil kind of like sees some of that and wants to use that, but is
And I love
unable
the
to,
part
but still gets her to
where
doubt at least, right? So it's interesting.
yeah, and there's also the point where like they tell her that, the armor is what makes it, and she goes, "It's not the armor, it's me." That's a really great moment.
Oh yeah, later on, yeah, absolutely.
Again, everyone gets a chance to shine. The one thing that I'm like about I will say is that when Percy dies,
So I was getting ready
that
to ask you. I was getting ready to get into that. So yeah, that's that's such a blasé way of yeah. Percy dies. Yeah, Percy dies in this one,
yeah. The reason I'm saying it like
and
that
he's
is
dead
because
for a good few episodes too. Like he dies
that's the
halfway
thing. It's
through.
That's the thing. It's for a good few episodes, which is why it pisses me off because the that scene itself it's handled really well because up until this point we always kind of had Pike as a healer, and suddenly there's something that she can't heal, and it does kind of start to make the stakes a lot more dire. Like yeah, these people aren't invincible. They can die. They're not NPCs essentially. They can die in this adventure. And that point I'm like, fuck. Like I was actually sad. And when you see Vex at this grave, and she goes, I am so sorry, and she goes that she tells him that she's sorry that she wasn't able to tell him that she loves them because she didn't want to put a thing in the conversation she has with her brother afterwards.
Mm.
This was all really effective. It was so good. It set stakes for the rest of this. Nope. Vex brings him back to life. I'm like, and I'm happy about it because I like Percy and I'm glad that he's getting a chance to be happy for a bit. But come the fuck on. Like, really? We still do this shit? Let I let stakes be stakes, damn it.
This is probably one of the harder things that you have to deal with even though this isn't technically D&D, it's still more or less D&D adjacent, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
in
I was
D&D, right,
about
it's
to
so easy
say.
to bring people back to life essentially, right? And it's one of those the hard things you have to deal with, especially because knowing what season 4 will be about to some degree, Percy's important there. He actually plays some pivotal roles here and there. So it's hard to just leave that character dead considering how much you it's considering because already like killing Percy was a big change from the D&D game, right? Because he didn't I think he died, but they very quickly brought him back. So what they did here was they made it way more important and they made it a much bigger thing, which I think was a good change. I think the way they changed it up and how they changed it up for Percy's, death here in the show compared to the D&D game is way better and like way more involved and way more important, right?
So see, I'm gonna take your word for it,
No,
and
for sure.
I definitely understand because again, as someone who hasn't really played any D&D in his
Or
life
maybe he didn't die at
for.
all. I'm not quite sure. I don't fully remember. Don't quote me.
But again, so again, I just want to say that as someone who doesn't really play D&D all that much, and if at all, I am aware that characters can die and then revive. I am
Yeah.
aware that's part of the game. I fully get it. That being said, when you're doing a show, I my expectations are a bit different.
No, that's completely fair. It's just one of those things that like it's hard to. I can imagine they sat there for a while, right, and thought about, well, okay, we do need him for season 4 because there's important moments for him, right, potentially. And if you kill him here and keep him dead here, what do you do in season 4? Like, how do you rewrite those
Yeah.
moments? That's a lot of potential writing. And now, like, granted, they've done some rewriting and changing things up
You
for all of
see, I
Vox
think
Machina so far. So I'm not saying it's not possible they could do it, but I
so. You
don't
see,
know if they would.
this could also just be one of those things where it needed to happen anyway. So again, I'm probably just complaining about the concept at this point, and I know that there's nothing I can do to really change it. It's not really a criticism of anything that was done badly. It's just that I I could have done without this idea.
No,
However,
that's
but if
again, I
but
think it's
if they
fair though
needed.
because it is a good it is a, fair criticism that like it is a very impactful death, right? It's a very impactful moment that they made within the show. And while I think the way they took it back was more or less fine. It felt like they at least had to work for it, right? They still did
And the
take
very
away
least,
from that
tell you
impactful
what,
moment.
tell you what, maybe if it was like at the start of season 4 that we would have gotten to see it, maybe I could say, okay, at least I had
The
time to
season
miss it.
season
It
four
was,
at the start of season four
yeah,
they bring him back is what you mean?
yeah, something
Okay.
like that. Like maybe give us like an episode or something that without him and then bring him. Maybe then, because then I have time to miss the character. Then
Mm.
I have time. Then I have time to see how once the threat of the season is all said and done, I can see what's going on. I can see what their lives without Percy, and then when he comes back in some way for a reason, it can actually help make the impact bigger. Here it just felt like a climax to something that wasn't even properly set up
I think
if
that's
it needed to happen.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair. Actually, I think that I would have honestly, I think that would have been really good too if they kept him dead until season four releases, and then show him being brought back to life in some way, like have that episode where they do stuff like that, right? I think that's really good because I think that really sets up like, oh shit, what are they gonna do? And there's a lot more talk you can have about that, right? Instead of bringing him back, I think they bring him back like episode 11 or 12, one of the two. I forget which one.
It's either, I think it was the 12, the
I didn't
finale.
get to
I think it was, no.
I didn't get to do a full refresh, I will say, but still, yeah, right. Like I think it is an impactful moment, and I think there's a good discussion you can have there of, especially for this one, right? Because if you know what's coming up, or what could potentially be coming up, is it worth keeping him dead to do rewrites and change up a bunch of things? And if you're changing all that up, is it what you set out to do, which is retell that D&D game story within a show, right? Is it the same if you keep this character dead? Is it different now? Is it still Vox Machina? I think there's a good discussion you can have there.
And especially because we're kind of jumping to the end here. The season ends with Vox Machina kind of splitting. At least for a good while there, like a lot of them go their separate ways. Like Vax is off with Kaylet for a bit. Percy and Vex go back to try and relax try and chill. Pike and Grog go their separate ways. Scanlan is going to try and spend some time with his going on a world tour with his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
For in a sense, they all kind of split up for a bit. They do acknowledge that they're gonna meet up again. Whenever the world is in danger, they're gonna team up once again. Obviously, they're still friends.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not in any bad blood or anything. But it also like if I didn't read beforehand that there's going to be a season 4, and that apparently they're planning to go up until 5, according to Sam Riegel.
mm.
So I'm just kind of saying, this could have been a good place to stop if you needed to.
It could have been like it's a very nice wrapped up ending after defeating the Chroma Conclave. Now they do give you, I believe, in episode 12, right, like the finale of the season. There's like a little hint of something going on, and there has been for a bit in the background, like this hint of something else going on here or there, like
Mhm.
setting up little tidbits. I will not reveal what is going on, but
Fair enough.
well, yeah, they've been setting up these little tidbits and hints. I mean, it's not been like super subtle. They've been pretty obvious about it, right? But like they've still been setting stuff up. So something else is out there, something else is going on. They will have to come together and save the world once more. But
Mhm.
you're all right. Like this is, if you wanted to end at season 3, you very much could so, and that's fine. That works.
And the other thing that I want to point out, episode 9 is like probably one of the best highlight episodes in the show.
Oh, the Thordak fight is so good.
That was amazing. That was so fucking good.
Like they went
I
all out
remember
with that
when
one.
it ended,
Oh
and
man,
when it ended, I remember when it ended, I'm like, there are 3 more episodes. What else is there? this what?
Well, it's interesting. I do have a question for you. Like we've kind of skipped on over a few things. I want to go back to a few things here or there,
Yeah,
but
sure.
before we do, I want to ask you, right? Because like the Thordak fight is so good, but I also love the Raishan fight at the end too, though, when it's
Oh
just
yeah,
them versus
definitely.
Raishan. So it's which one do you prefer more? I'm gonna put you on the spot. That one's
Ah,
hard because like you get the
yeah.
really
It's
good final battle where it's just Vox Machina
I
versus
tell you what,
Raishan, and then you get
and
Thordak where you have all this stuff coming together, which is also really good.
I tell you what, I am going to say, and for the record, I'm going to put all the cards on the table. Both of them are fantastic, right?
Fair,
Let's
fair,
not mince words. Both of those fights are incredible.
absolutely fair.
But I'll have to give it to Todak for one reason.
Mm-hmm.
This is the culmination of all three seasons up until this point.
Mm-hmm. That's
This was
fair.
the big bad to some degree. This was like we were always going to get there. This was always something that we were gonna see. We were gonna get there since season one. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
Now the Rashan fight also absolutely incredible. But okay, I know that she was always not. I know that she was always like pulling the strings from the back. I know she wasn't going to be good. I know that they were building it up quite well that she is going to turn out to be a bitch at the end. I am aware of all of that. Then again, I also think it's like, hey, we beat Tordak. It's like, nope, now we have another dragon 3 episodes. It's like, so if anything, if I had again, it felt like if I didn't know there was a season 4 coming, that they were like, shit, we are not renewed. We need to wrap everything up in 3 episodes now. There we beat Tordak, so now Roshan is the villain. Let's go, let's go, let's
Well,
go.
to be fair to them, right? It was always them versus the Chroma Conclave, right? So it wasn't them
Yes,
versus Thordak.
definitely.
It was them versus all four of these dragons. You know, Raishan, Thordak,
What
Dorgal,
I
and
mean
others.
though is that Todak always gave the vibe that
Ah, no,
he's the big boss.
that's
He's the
fair.
final boss essentially.
That's fair.
And again, the Roshan stuff, great, fantastic. Why is it only 3 episodes? And especially after the Todak fight, where like I watched it and it's like, wow, what else is gonna happen after this? And they just tell me, and it takes away from Roshan a bit that this manipulative mastermind bitch is just kind of like an epilogue boss.
I mean, to be fair, even in the campaign, if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of what she was. It was even
Then
quicker
I
in the
then I'm
campaign.
sorry. This is
Like
also
they
for the
added stuff
campaign.
here. They added
Yeah,
stuff here in the show,
then
I believe.
credit is so in this case credit to them for trying to develop it a bit, but it still felt like an epilogue.
That's fair. That's fair.
It felt like a DLC. This is a DLC essentially.
I do
It's
think
like
it's. I still
I
do
can't
think
believe
it's a
I'm saying
nice
this.
wrap up, though.
Hold on. I just have to say
No,
this.
fair,
This
fair.
is the because this is the weirdest fucking comparison, but like Rashan is the chef Saltbaker to Tordak's devil in Cuphead.
Wild comparison.
I know, but that's the first thing that came to mind.
But no, I do think it's a good wrap up, though. Like I think as far as wrap ups for a season are concerned, there's been far worse. And
Oh
granted,
yeah.
we've had far
Again,
better, but
I should state again the Rashan and the 3 episodes where Rashan is the main villain, not bad at all. On the fucking contrary, they are great, amazing even. I just feel like once Tordek has been defeated, we could have probably cut it there and called the rest season 4. That's just me though.
honestly, I would agree with you. I think that's fair and arguably maybe better. But I will say I'm like you. I do prefer the Thordak fight, and I'm glad Lance Reddick got to go out with like a banging way, right? As Thordak for his last
Yeah.
role, basically his last role, since he
Mhm.
unfortunately passed and
Um,
everything.
Yeah, that's actually the first episode is dedicated to his memory, which
Hmm.
is, you know, what, if you're gonna go out, why not go out with a bang like this?
Yeah, it's. I
So,
think maybe they didn't, but I feel like they went all out on episode 9 for his fight because it just
mhm,
feels like it. And granted, they have reason to anyways because like it's a big culmination of everything coming together. But I want to say like they made certain to really you know go all in on episode 9. It feels like for him, which
mhm,
is worth.
yeah,
But there's one other villain we've not talked too much about that we should go back and talk a little bit about.
I think I know who you're talking about, and I do want to talk about her.
Ripley and Percy's demon Orthax are back.
Ripley, I am so happy to see Ripley back because I'm not sure. I probably mentioned this in another show that we covered years ago, but Kelly Who as a villain is always a win.
Mm, agreed.
You, in case you don't know, she was Karai in the 2012 Ninja Turtles show, and she was amazing in that role. She's amazing here as well. Like this
Yes.
woman's voice is just mwah, beautiful.
No, but I fully agree though.
Mhm. So just seeing, there's a point in the show like where she's supposedly fighting for again. I love the backstory for her that we got this time around. That we see
Yes.
that she's actually somewhat of a she's a victim of circumstance
And
essentially,
I
and
believe that's an expansion on what we got from the D&D game. Like I don't think she had that much going on. Don't quote me.
Mhm.
Again, I'm not super
Oh.
familiar with everything. I'm just familiar enough to confidently be wrong.
Well, regardless of if it's depending on it or not,
Mhm.
I just really enjoyed the bits with her, and again, the vocal great. Whenever she has to be the slimy villain, she's doing an awesome job as that. Whenever she needs to, act like an actual person, she's doing great in there too. I especially love the bit where somebody tells her, "Oh, you're gonna all the food here is not going to be enough for us and the people of the town." And then she freaking shoots the guy dead, and she goes, "No, it's enough." It's a damn.
But I also love right how this feels like Percy's villain. You're in the game, right? It was Percy's villain, and this is Percy's villain in the show too. And you see all these connections and everything, and Percy's not the one that gets to kill her. I
Yeah,
love that's another change they made, and I love that that's a change they made. I think that's great because I think it furthers Percy's character within the show and the way they've done him in the show. I think it furthers his character a lot more that he's not the one that gets to kill Ripley. It's the twins, Vex and
yeah.
Vax, that do.
Mhm. And in a way, it also makes sense that it would because if Percy is not gonna kill her, then might as well be his teammates with benefits, as they call it.
Mm.
So, and again, because this was also kind of a loose end from season one, that she was the last bullet he had remained. She was the last on his list, and in a way, he can mark that name off the list, but also he's not the one who did it. That's it's it's kind of poetic.
And it's also great that she teams up with Orthax, right? Percy's demon, and now she has her own list, and he's on that list too. He's the one who has a bullet marked for him, right? It's so great.
Hmm.
Like it's so well done for Ripley and Percy. It's such a great continuation, bringing her back and doing that with her and everything. On top of the fact that how they end her, right? And also, again, good fight scenes and everything. It's super animated well. It's like great back and forth between Percy and Ripley when it's just them, and then seeing Vex and Vax and them fighting Ripley as well. All of it's done super well.
Again, everything. This show is becoming more and more of like Amazon Prime should be really proud of themselves with the way their animated shows have been going. From this to Invincible to other stuff, they are providing some real masterclasses in animation.
Agreed.
these past couple of
They've picked
years.
up some really good ones, and they've worked with some really good studios so far. I forget who is it that animates Vox Machina. I'm curious, real quick.
Isn't it the same studio that does Avatar, or is it, or am I mistaken?
I'm gonna find out real quick.
Yeah, I am also trying to see here if I can find anything about this. Let's see, something about production. Let's see. Bum, 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 bum.
Production
Titmouse?
Reeve, it looks like, were the animators, and Red Dog Culture House is what
I
I'm
see here
looking
that
at.
it was animated by a studio called Titmouse.
Might also be them. I'm seeing that it's produced by them, not animated, but it probably was.
Mm,
Okay, no, you're right.
I'm
Titmouse is the
trying.
animation team.
Yeah. Oh, they actually did something. They actually did something TMNT related with the same incarnation that I just mentioned. What are the odds?
Yeah. So
Huh.
Titmouse has worked on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I see they did Captain Underpants Netflix show. They did the Looney Tunes cartoons. That's cool.
Hmm.
They worked on Inside Job, and yeah, I see Vox Machina here, of course. They did
Invincible.
some really good stuff. So this is great. Well, back to Vox Machina. Anything else to say on the matter?
I mean, no, I think we've covered more or less everything.
Yeah, I
Well, I
think we
mean,
talked
I guess we
about.
didn't talk about like we get another flashback with the twins, which
Mhm.
good. Not much to say, I suppose. It's still good.
Honestly, this is at this point like last season. It was great. This one, it was still good. Don't misunderstand me. It was still good, even great. It's just considering everything else that's happening in this season. This is something that's kind of like it. It's the short end of the stick.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I would say this season's very much focused on Percy, Pike, and probably a little bit of Scanlan at the end,
And
right?
Kaylet, obviously.
Yeah, I guess Keyleth kind of takes up the ending bit with Scanlan. Like it's like big Pike, big Percy, little bit of Scanlan, little bit of Keyleth to tie it all off, which works out pretty well, I think.
Yeah, and especially, considering they're a team, it's nice to see that they managed to balance their team off really well.
Oh, fair. Absolutely agreed.
So,
Well,
I guess before we wrap it up, what do you want to see for season 4?
oh man, I would like to see because Grog has felt like he's taken a bit of a back seat. I would like to see a bit more, him taking the front again potentially for a bit if there's anything that comes up for him. I would love. I think maybe it's just me, but I would love to see a bit more from Keyleth.
Mhm.
There's a moment in the D&D game that I think everyone wants them to make into the show, and I agree. I kind of would love to see it, but they would have to rewrite it a bit. Do you want to be spoiled for this moment, or do you want to wait and see if they do it in the show and then be
Um,
spoiled for it?
I tell you what, give me like the most basic way to describe it.
Uh,
What do I need to look for?
Keyleth says we're invincible, jumps off couple 100-foot waterfall as fish, dies. It is immediately brought back.
That sounds funny.
It
The
is
thing
very
is,
funny. I don't think it
the thing
fits in
is,
the show, but I think
like
everyone
I
wants
think
them
it
to
would.
do it.
I think it would fit in the show, but the thing is, are they gonna do a whole arc around this, or
I don't think they do a show.
is it just
I think
going
it
to
should be a
be a
funny bit,
funny?
right? It should definitely be a funny
Yeah, I was
bit.
about to, because if it's a funny haha moment of animation, then yeah, this could be fun.
I don't
But
think.
if you're going to make a whole arc out of it, I'm like, okay, let's. By the way, something I completely forgot. Killet's Ashari test.
Mhm.
The
Oh
exam she's
yeah, we didn't
taking.
talk about that.
I can't believe I forgot to mention it because that was so fucking good. And
Hmm.
especially at the end when with the Roshan, where she's basically kind of feeds the poison into her with that.
Hmm. Yes.
And I like after she kisses Vax afterwards, and then she throws up, and she has to say, "It's not you, it's the poison." I think he got that.
Yeah. No, it's very good. But yeah, like I personally would love to see them do that. Now, granted, obviously, as I said, they'd have to change it up because I don't think they should kill her from it because that kind of ruins death a little bit in your show and everything, right? So don't do that. But I think
Mhm.
they should definitely do it as a small, funny bit reference, at least. My personal
Yeah,
opinion. But if they don't,
yeah,
I understand.
it can definitely walk. It can definitely walk as a side funny haha moment.
But beyond that, like I'm very curious to see how they do the upcoming villains and what they might change because I think so far, from what I understand and from what I do know, they've made a lot of good changes thus far, right? And from the D&D campaign,
Interesting.
and I want to continue to see what they change and then what they keep more or less the same, right? Because I think that's been a very interesting aspect of this show too. I do agree with
Mhm.
you. I think it would have been way better if they did for killing Percy, if they had kept Percy dead until season 4 and maybe have saved the Raishan bit for season 4 as well to kind of like cap off that and then start into a whole new thing. But I would still say, even with that little hiccup, I think season 3 did extremely well. It may not be my personal favorite season, but it definitely has tied up everything well enough that if you wanted to end with season 3, you're perfectly fine doing so. You have a nice little
Well,
story,
but we already know that we're not
but
ending on season 3,
we
so
know we're not.
there's
So
that.
it'll
I
be
will
interesting. Like
say
it'll be interesting to see also like how they bring the gang back together and how they start everything back up again. Right?
that's something I wanted to say because you're going to be surprised, but I think they should kind of take a page out of Ruby's book here.
Mm,
Give me a whole season, maybe 90% of a season where they're separated before you reunite them. Give them some time off from each other. I want to kind of see what Vex and Kaylet can get into while it's just the two of them,
that's a hard
uh,
thing
or
to do.
maybe
A lot of
or
people
maybe
would tell
Vex
you
and
Ruby didn't
Percy.
do it.
Hmm?
That's a hard thing to do, right? No, in which it was fair. A lot of people would say Ruby didn't even succeed at it.
Well, I'm not saying that regardless if they succeeded in it or not, I just think it would be interesting.
No, that's fair. I think
And
it
like
would be interesting
don't
to see them
don't
more
make it like
together.
an episode or two. Like episode or two they'll separate, then by episode 3 they're back. Like maybe half a season. Give me some time with these characters separated for a
Mm.
bit because you made this big deal about them going their separate ways for a bit. I kind of want to see them be a bit do their own thing for a bit before getting back together.
Well, I mean, and even then, right? They are still somewhat paired up too, right?
Hmm.
Which works out, for them being in, kind of two pairs each, more or less. So,
Yeah,
no, I agree with you. That'd
so
be
again,
interesting.
like
I don't
I
know
said,
Ruby
yeah,
yet, but it
because
would definitely be interesting.
You have Vax and Keelet, going on their journey, and Vax having to deal with this corruption. You have Vex and Percy enjoying their time for a bit. You have Scanlan with his daughter. You have Grok and Pike going on their own adventure. I give them some time away. Give them some time away to kind of develop as these people before you bring them back together. And I'm sure that the show is, and that's the thing though. I think the strength of this show comes that you love to see these people together, but you can also get a lot out of seeing these people individually.
That's fair.
And as long as they are still kind of like, two at a time, three at a time, they're still walking off of each other.
And I mean, they have even here in season 3, they have split the party up a little bit, where we had Vax, Keyleth,
Mhm.
Pike, and Grog, and Scanlan, and then you had Vex and Percy, right, together.
Yeah, but it was more splitting up in order to, cover more ground with the mission and kind
Yeah.
of complete multiple objectives at the time. Here we're talking about a split up that each person is just kind of doing his or her own thing without like a bigger purpose.
No, that's fair.
So
What I mean though is like we have some experience that they can do this and do it fairly well. So seeing them go a little bit further for a little bit longer, that might be interesting. I agree.
Hmm.
I don't know if they'll do it, but I
So,
agree. I'd be interested.
so I guess we'll have to wait until season 4 comes out, which
Mm.
might be later this year. Maybe?
Maybe, if I'm not wrong, probably next year though, because Deadly Nine, Mighty Nine is coming out this year, so we'll have more Critical Role campaign stuff turned into a show. That's a completely
Which,
different thing.
which honestly, again, as someone who doesn't really know D&D campaigns and everything, this is still really damn cool that Vox Machina is such a success that they can do it with another project.
Mhm. Agreed.
And and you know something, Mighty Nine might as well cover it whenever it's out.
Yeah, I think it'll be quite fun. I think people like Mighty Nine a lot more than tend to like the Mighty Nine a lot more than Vox Machina, as like a group essentially. So it'll be interesting to see how that
Okay,
translates to a show.
that's interesting. Well, whatever we're gonna whenever happens next, I am glad that I managed to experience this show now,
Hmm.
and I'm definitely excited to see where the rest of this goes.
Agreed.
Whether whether the next season comes out or the Mighty Nine comes out first, consider me interested. I'm
Agreed.
not saying that I'm gonna just drop everything that I'm doing to watch the Critical Role campaigns because I don't have the time, people. I'm so sorry, but
There's
I'm
some
interested.
good Cliff Notes channels you can find on YouTube that give you like the gist that I might be able
Mhm.
to recommend you if you're ever interested. Like, but it's I agree. It's a lot. A lot.
If
I'll
I
say this to
ever
you,
do that,
and I thought this was wild when I heard it. I haven't watched a ton of like they've recently finished up their campaign 3, right?
mhm,
And from what I understand, from what I was told, their finale episode was like 9 hours long or something like that. Maybe longer, maybe 8 hours, but still like 8 hours, an 8 hour episode. Even I look at that and I'm
yeah,
like, I don't know if I want to watch that. Give me the cliff notes first.
that like listen,
I'm sure it was amazing. I'm sure it was lovely. Nothing against it. That's a long time to sit down and watch a YouTube video, man.
again, I like exactly what you say. I can definitely dig it. I am very I am very happy that they have the opportunity to do this and everything. But also 8 hours is a lot of my time to ask. That's all I'm saying.
It's a lot. I mean, granted, right? It's basically a podcast. You can just listen to it, but still, while you're doing other things, but still, that's a lot. And
Let's see if I ever maybe I should actually invest. Something. If I actually invest in new earplugs, I could totally take it to walk and listen to this while I walk. This is killing all of the walk day. No joke.
yeah,
I should probably invest, but that's a story for another day. Anything else?
no, yeah, go watch Vox Machina if you haven't, and get ready for Mighty Nine.
And if you haven't watched Vox Machina yet, then why the hell are you in the spoiler section? We warned you.
True.
Okay, so yeah, we talked about what we want for season 4. The Mighty Nine sounds interesting. We'll definitely be here to cover that whenever it's out. So I guess that's all for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed it. What
Mhm.
are your thoughts about Vox Machina season 3? Are you excited for season 4 and the Mighty Nine? Did you see the original campaign, and what do you think about the changes or lack of changes in this adaptation? You can tell us all about that in the comment section below, on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with a capital B, capital C, and on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team. So until the next episode, I was HC,
I was Wolf.
and we will see you all next time, not in D&D format. Take care.
Bye bye.